So it's been a very bizarre past 2 months for Drake. And I think Drake needs to seriously reconsider who's helping him strategize these moves because a lot of these decisions really don't make much sense. And in my opinion, it almost seems as though him and his team, they may unknowingly be spiraling out of control. So as of about a day ago, Drake deleted all of his diss songs towards Kendrick Lamar off of his Instagram. It's still available on YouTube, but most of the people were, looking at it on Instagram. And it almost gives the impression as if he's trying to pivot away from the situation and just hope that people forget about it. Now, there could also be a possibility that he's preparing for round two, but I think that's extremely unlikely at this point. The only reason I even say that's a possibility is because of the fact that a few weeks ago on his Instagram story, he put up a post saying "Summertimes, good vibes, no, some good times, summer vibes is coming soon," and I'm assuming that's an album. And he posted it with a picture of what looks like a samurai holding a blade, standing still while like an army of people on horses are coming to attack him, almost giving the scenery and the impression of basically the impression of saying that Drake's still not done battling. But even regardless of that, it still seems like a long shot that he's preparing for part two or round two. So I'm gonna just assume that he's trying to pivot away from this. But I don't think it's gonna be as simple as he would like for it to be when it comes to trying to like pivot away from this. And I want to explain why and also kind of discuss where I think he should go from there. Because you see, Drake has never seen an L of this magnitude before. Not even really the Pusha T situation, honestly. I want to revisit the Venn diagram, the two Venn diagrams that I created and showcased in my last video when it came to the two levels of diss track ammo and how it's relevant to all this. So when Pusha T dissed Drake, there were several key diss factors that that really Pusha T didn't use, and even though Pusha T still won, right? He did not have people rooting for him, and then he also did not have a hit record. Now let me explain what I mean, right? So firstly, like the story of Addy Don wasn't a hit song, obviously. And when you add in the fact that Pusha T is not relevant on a mainstream level and hasn't been since the days of him being a part of the clips with his brother, it made it relatively easier for Drake to drown out the magnitude of that L with the the hit song "In My Feelings" off of the Scorpion album. Now, earlier, a second ago, when I said Pusha T didn't have people rooting for him, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but what I mean by that is, look, let's look at it like this, right? When Drake and Pusha T, when they were exchanging tracks towards each other in 2018, we weren't that far removed from the Drake and Meek Mill situation. So because of that, the general public was viewing Drake in a different light within the context of having to battle somebody because Drake had just won a battle. So people had more faith in him. So even though obviously, even though hip hop purists were more so rooting for Pusha T, the general public, which outweighs the general public and the majority of hip hop fans, outweigh those purists and the general public. They have more faith in Drake to deliver, especially when he got off to a good start with the W freestyle. Now, Pusha T, even though Pusha T didn't have the hit or the people rooting for him, he did hit on several other factors in the two tiers of diss record ammo that you see on the screen, such as the T/gossip piece, the schoolyard disses, dropping facts, but not having the hit. That definitely allowed Drake to have a major opening to rebrand and pivot away from the situation and just make people kind of forget about it and brush it off. And that's exactly what happened when he dropped the Scorpion album and the song "In My Feelings" became like a hit record, and the whole "In My Feelings" challenge dance and all that with Shiggy. And it was a much bigger moment than his feud with Pusha T as a whole. So it's easier to drown out, right? But Drake has a much bigger problem on his hands with Kendrick Lamar and this whole beef that he has, because Kendrick Lamar not only was able to hit all the factors in the diss record ammo that you see on the screen right now, he was able to hit all those factors. One of the most important factors that he was able to achieve is put out a hit record dissing Drake on it. Like Not Like Us has become an instant hit. And it may be the biggest rap song of the year. It's definitely gonna probably be the biggest of the summer. It's gonna probably be the biggest of the year. And I mean, at this point, who knows? It might become the biggest rap song of the decade, honestly. Like when it's all said and done, you never know, right? And that's a lot. That's going to be a lot harder for Drake to just drown out. You can't just drown out something like that. Like trying to drown out something like that is extremely hard. It's people are literally dancing to a song where you're being called a colonizing PDF file. Like like that's not easy to just brush off, honestly. The closest L that we can reference in recent history of this magnitude is, I guess, maybe Jay Z after Ether, which I don't think this beef is necessarily, I don't think it's the exact same as Jay and Nas, but still, nonetheless, I guess that's like the closest thing that we could use as like a reference to something, to somebody taking a loss this bad. But this is even bigger than that because of the fact that Drake has already had two losses at this point, two major losses with Pusha T and Kendrick back to back. Whereas Jay Z at that point, that was the first and only loss that Jay Z ever had, really. So, but even with Jay having to deal with that, Jay had to, with his back against the wall, he had to drop the Black album just to sort of like really get back in the position he was in before the whole situation. And, by many people, the Black Album, of course, is considered a classic, right? So Jay had to drop a classic just to wipe the stain off and maintain his position. But that was just after one, that was after just one loss. In the case of Drake, this is two major losses at this point. So so at this point, in order for Drake to realistically wipe the stain off and get back to normal like nothing happened, he would have to he would not only have to drop a classic, but he would have to drop the classic of all classics. Like it would literally have to be like like he would have to drop like a hip hop equivalent of Thriller. It would have to be something so undeniably great that it just, goes diamond in a week and, just has a ripple effect that influences two, three, four generations of artists. And, if we're being realistic, I don't think at this point in Drake's career he's gonna be able to do anything close to that. So he's in a very weird place right now, which is why I think it's really a shame that him and his team did such a poor job when it came to strategizing how to approach that whole Kendrick situation and how to approach that battle, because it didn't seem like Drake and his team were fighting for their lives. It seemed like they were just underestimating Kendrick in the situation. And when in reality, it's like your back is already against the wall. You couldn't afford to lose that badly. At least if he had lost, but it was close and debatable, he would have been fine, honestly. People would have just, it just would have been entertaining and people could kind of just call it a wash. But when you lose in that sort of fashion, like it just looks too crazy, So I don't think Drake and his team really knows where they're gonna go from here. So in the aftermath of this whole situation, Drake has been featured on a Sexy Red song, and the Sexy Red song is like trying to flip the whole BBL Drizzy meme, which I don't think you can really flip that at this point. I think it's a terrible idea to even try, in my opinion. That's something that you would only be able to successfully flip. One, if the song is actually good. I don't think the song is that good. But then two, more importantly, you would only really be able to flip that if you actually won the beef. And then, at that point, it would be more of like just you having a victory lap and just flipping that back on its head, just kind of trolling them. But because of things playing out the way they did, and you taking that loss, I, you trying to flip that BBL Drizzy meme, like it's really not going to happen. It just looked like a waste of time. And then also in the aftermath of the whole situation, more reference tracks have been leaked. Some from Party Next Door, and then most notably a reference track from an artist named Vori for Mob Ties. He did the song Mob Ties, like he wrote the song Mob Ties that leaked. So that definitely is looking, that's making him look bad again because it's another reference track that has been released somehow. And then also about a day ago, him and an artist named Snow Day, they released a song called Wagwan Delilah, which is a flip. It's like a flip of like the plain white T songs. Hey there, Delilah. I mean, the song is pretty mid in my opinion. I think the song is pretty mid, so I don't know what was the point of releasing it. It almost feels like they were trying to do a parody of the song. So I don't know what they're planning to accomplish with that really. And again, it really does feel as though they're trying to figure out which direction to even go with Drake's career at this point. Honestly, I think Drake at this point would be better off, like, and I'm not trying to be mean, but I think he would be better off maybe switching genres and just really going all in on that sort of R&B slash pop lane. But at the same time, I don't think that's what Drake and his team is planning on doing. I think they're going to just try to keep doing what they've been doing. But at the rate they're going now, and with the perception of Drake by the general public being at like an all-time low, I don't think it's going to really end that well if they try to keep doing what they're doing, because again, low key it looks like they're crashing out. But I don't know. I'm not sure. Either way, let me know in the comment section below. What do you think about the whole situation? Do you like the Wagwan Delilah song? Do you like the Drake and Sexy Red song with the BBL Drizzy challenge? Do you think the Vori track getting leaked is gonna affect Drake's legacy at this point? And also, where do you think that Drake should go from here? Do you think Drake would be better off going fully pop or R&B, or do you think he'll be fine if he just keeps doing what he's been doing for the past decade?